is a part of a horrific fire scene. And people are traumatized by seeing that on television or on a movie. But people that are here today and many others that serve with them have to experience that each and every day in serving and protecting us. And so if there are people who are traumatized by seeing that on television or in a movie, imagine when you see it as part of your duty and your responsibilities, which these people take as a privilege. But nonetheless, seeing that over and over again and the impact that's going to have on you. And so it's something that I've come to recognize as I've sat as a member of the police board, as I've gone out with Chief Pegg and Chief Jessup to fire scenes and with the paramedics, because I see just a sliver of the real life that people experience in serving and protecting us. And so the notion that we should now have something that is going to stand as a place where those people can be comforted, can be supported, can be treated, can have a chance to recover is extraordinarily important, especially when you take into account what these women and men do for us. You know, the fact is, a city this big, and I'll talk on behalf of any city, it doesn't really matter, and I'm so pleased that Nando's here today, because I'm such a believer, as he knows, in this region and the strength of this region, and all of us working together with the other governments to do good things for people. But the fact of the matter is that our cities, our regions could not function without the first responders and the job that they do every single day. But we also know the reality of the toll that these jobs take on their lives. You know, I think people forget, beyond what you see in the job that you have, if you're a first responder, that firefighters and paramedics and healthcare providers, they're all human beings too. So among that group of human beings, just like all the rest of us, there are going to be the normal stresses and strains that people face that can lead to post-traumatic stress syndrome. And so and getting that help is more complex. It just is. I mean, it's a fact of life that the jobs are different, the responsibilities are different, the expectations, even the publicity sometimes associated with these kinds of things are different. So there's a different and more complex need that is created, and that is what this center is going to do. I will just say the sheer number of people here indicates the support everybody has for this. I think this is a strong step in the right direction. And Toronto and Peel will now become home to the assessment center here and to the treatment facilities in Peel. And then again, that's a great example of how we can work together with the province and the feds and as a region to make sure everybody is well treated and can get back to work. But more importantly, getting back to work, they can be healthy. I, of course, want to acknowledge the initiative undertaken, because I remember Connie calling me. I did stand up right away, as I was in the habit of doing, and just said, how can I help? Because I thought it was such an outstanding, timely idea, because you hear each day of the stress and strain that is taken on first responders and healthcare frontline workers in carrying out their duties. And so in thanking all of you, I want to say that I'm proud this is happening, you know, once again in our city, in our province, in our country. It's not unusual for us to be doing these kinds of things first, just as we've led the way, I think, in many respects in the pandemic. And that is because we work together to do these things. We're not focused on the division that has been so much evident in recent times. We're focused on things we can do together to support people, in this case, frontline responders and frontline healthcare workers. And if we can focus more and more on doing that each and every day, this will become an even better place to live. And on that note, I would like to invite someone who is himself a great cooperator and collaborator and a great partner for the City of Toronto, somebody I've had the privilege of working with for a number of years now, and that is Arif Varani, who is going to speak on behalf of the Government of Canada. Thank you.
I thought John was going to call me his second favorite MP or something like that, but I guess not. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here among such a distinguished set of people here up on this dais. So Premier, collected ministers, MP Hogarth, Your Worship, Connie, and I'm standing Connie, just so we're all standing Connie. It is really a distinct pleasure to be here. I'm happy also to welcome you here to the riding that I represent. This riding is called Parkdale High Park at the federal and the provincial level. It's the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabeg, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit. Je vais ajouter quelques petits mots en français comme une députée fédérale aussi, parce que c'est un grand plaisir d'être parmi vous autres pour cet événement spécial dirigé par Connie. It's really a testament to sort of all of you, and I have some prepared notes here, but I just want to tell you a tiny bit about Runnymede beyond just what Connie and her team has been able to establish and accomplish. But Runnymede has been around for about 7 decades serving this community, and it's really a testament to what it does for a living. And it helps people in terms of their rehabilitation and just getting better. And also, you know, every speaker has touched upon the pandemic, and the pandemic is obviously something that's present for all of us and has been for about 2 years now. During the pandemic, this community, like many communities, like this entire city, like this entire country, got behind public health guidelines, vaccines, masking, etc. And that's really, really important. But also important is when you have great healthcare institutions like Runnymede joining with the public, providing that information, providing vaccine clinics, providing a sense of security to people that had genuine questions. That's the kind of work that Runnymede does all the time in terms of taking care of people. And what I'm really pleased about this, as you've heard from many of the other speakers, is that now Runnymede, through Connie's leadership, is looking after the people such as yourselves, who I'm looking at right now, you who have been looking after all of us. And I mean this quite directly, and I'm not a man in uniform. I mean, we put on a tie and we pretend that's a politician's uniform. But what I've learned in this job very sincerely is that the men and women in this country, in whatever capacity, whether they're paramedics, firefighters, whether they're police officers, you know, you name it, people that put on a uniform do it with pride, they do it with purpose, but they're also human, as some of the previous speakers mentioned. And you guys are going through things that I can only just fathom, as the mayor mentioned, stuff that you might watch on a screen. And one thing that I've taken to heart as a member of parliament, and I think our government has tried to take to heart very seriously, is addressing stigma. And the fact that you've got somebody like Minister Tobolo, who's a minister for mental health and addictions, we've got someone similar to that, Carolyn Bennett, at the federal level. That's a critical statement by governments in this country about how present this issue is, but it's also critical for all of us to embrace where it manifests and addressing that stigma, because sometimes it is the brave people in uniform who are taught so much about bravery for whom that stigma is most acute. So I really salute Connie. Like, we've all made these jokes about Connie, about how fearful we are of her. And it's true, we are fearful of her. But what I also appreciate is that she made a point of saying, Arif, not only do we need to do this, but we need to do this at a dedicated facility. And I remember one conversation we had, she said, it's not that easy for these brave women and men in uniform to just walk into any old place, any old doctor's office, any old institution. Having a dedicated institution will both enhance their treatment, but also make them feel more comfortable. And that's when I really think Connie is at that next level, because she understands that. And I've seen that in her in terms of other things. You know, in COVID times, I've been at Remembrance Day events at her hospital, and I've seen the amount of passion she brings to addressing the needs, providing respect and appreciation and gratitude for women and men in uniform. So thank you for continuing to do this today, Connie. It's really, really appreciated. So I've deviated wildly from my notes, and I don't have the teleprompter that Premier Ford and Connie had. But the main reason I'm here is to address the and I don't even have a hole punch. So I'm worried that the wind is going to come by and blow away my sheets. But what I want to say is that I'm here on behalf of my colleague, Minister Marco Mendicino, and his predecessor, Minister Bill Blair, who's well known to people like Chief Reimer and so many others, because we are getting behind this initiative. And what we are getting behind this initiative in doing is providing a funding of $1 million to support the feasibility study for this very initiative. And that's important because I think it's one thing to talk about how important these priorities are. It's the second thing to actually deliver monetarily in terms of financing these priorities. And what that money is going to hopefully be able to do is launch this PTSI center sort of into where it needs to go. And that's about providing innovative treatment. It's about gathering data. It's about hopefully not just treating the people that are coming in, but alleviating the number of people in the future that need to come in by addressing the root causes of what's causing PTSI among these valiant first responders. And I think that's really a testament of what we're trying to do as we go forward. And I'll say to you, as my hands get really, really cold and I struggle to turn these pages, that I'm distinctly proud to serve this community. I'm distinctly proud to do it when we've got such fine institutions led by such amazing individuals such as Connie and such as Runnymede. But I'm also distinctly proud to be able to serve and learn more while I serve in elected office from the men and women that I'm looking at right now, from all of you who do so much to look after us. It is high time we are looking after you, and I hope with this federal contribution, together with our provincial and municipal partners, we start to do a lot more of just that. Thank you very much for having me. Merci beaucoup. Congratulations, Connie.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I'm Nando Unique. I'm chair for the region of Peel, and it's a privilege to be here with the Fire Chief Reezy from Mississauga today, and also our Peel Regional Police Chief Nish Duriappa. Nish, thank you very much. This is a very special day for me. I was first elected 34 years ago. So I've been dealing with first responders as a municipal councillor in Mississauga and as the regional chair for 34 years. I've also had the privilege of sitting as chair of our police services board. And no one gives more at the municipal, provincial, and federal level than our first responders. And that's why this is such a special day. All I have is thanks. I have thanks starting with my dear old friend, Michael Tobolo, who gave me a call, the minister. Michael and I first met 35 years ago working on a charitable venture that's ultimately been successful for seniors. He said, Nana, you've got to come and see me. You've got to meet Connie and Dr. Varlesi. We haven't never met them before. And so we went to his offices and they proposed exactly what we have here. And they kept talking and talking and talking. And I said, stop, stop. You had me at hello. And so it was that they needed a piece of land, and I said on behalf of our council, we've got a piece of land. I didn't know which piece of land, but we got lots of land. We'll find you a piece of land for our first responders. And the next call I got was from Minister Jones, our local MPP, that said, Nando, I'm aware of the initiative. You've got to do all you can on behalf of the people of Peel, on behalf of the people of Caledon. You have my full support, and has followed me every step of the way to make sure that this thing gets done. And the next call that I got and spoke with, and Premier, he has a special hello for you today, our dear friend Alan Thompson. And you may be aware it's a little bittersweet. Mayor Thompson of Caledon has just announced he'll be leaving public service after 20 years and wants this to be part of his legacy. So when I called Alan, he said, Nando, you find us the land, we will zone it right away. We will have this thing up and running. It'll be serviced and ready to go. And then my last call was to Jennifer Innes, who also sends her best, Premier, and said, I'm the local councillor, consider this thing zoned. We are going to make this thing happen. And then we took it to our council, and that was a very short meeting, and we found you a 25-acre piece of land that in Peel on a bad day is $50 to $75 million. And we were happy to put it into the kitty for $2, to transfer it on to our first responders. And I will just say it is an idyllic piece of land because we found you the very best piece, in my opinion, that we have on a highway, but not far from the airport, so everybody can use the facility. But it is an oasis. And with this seed money, we are going to do the prep work. But I say seed money, this thing's a done deal. We've got you your land. We need a little money for some bricks and mortar and the money to operate it, and this thing will happen. And that leads me to my last two comments after thanking my council colleagues for making this thing possible and allowing me to commit to it. The first is, as I said, it was the first chance I got to meet Connie Bijak. And you know the old adage that says if you're in the office and you want something done, you give it to the busiest person? Replace that with just call Connie and it'll get done. And that's what I've learned from her. And she's just been a stalwart, and she's been the nuclear engine that makes this thing run, and you just can't say no to her. She's absolutely right. But I've reserved my greatest accolades for the Premier. You know, I'd never met the Premier until this time. I've never been a member of a political party, by the way. 34 years, I'm just Nando. And I got to tell you, he has put his heart and soul into this on behalf of first responders. And I can let you know a little secret. You know, the Premier gives his phone number out quite liberally, but says, you know, don't call me to wish me happy birthday or that because he's a busy guy. But I've texted him from time to time, say, Premier, you've given us our marching orders. I found the land. Premier, we're doing this. Premier, I'm making sure you've got water, sewer, all the services, et cetera, et cetera. And after one of these long messages that's saying everything was on course, the Premier called me personally. And I said, oh, Premier, I'm sorry, I hope my last message was clear. And he said, it was. Oh, okay, did I forget something? No, Nando, not at all. I go, well, this call for, I just wanted to say thank you, because this means so much to me and our first responders. And this has to get done. And that's a measure of the man. So, Premier, to you and to everybody involved, I'm glad Peel can play our small part on behalf of our first responders in Peel, in the region, as John Tory says, for the province, for all of Canada. And as I said, we're not exploring anything. This thing's a done deal. We've given you a piece of land. I'm sure our provincial and federal partners are going to come through with the funding. And with Connie's plan and Dr. Varlesi's plan, this thing is a reality on behalf of our first responders who have given us your all. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Premier Ford, first responders, honorable guests, good afternoon. My name is Carmen Negro. I'm part of the board members of Runnymede Hospital. I would like to end this afternoon's event by thanking you for participating. Today marks a major milestone in the fight against PTSI. When Connie first approached me in 2019, I was thrilled and embraced the opportunity to work alongside her for this vital project for two major reasons. First of all, if you know Connie, her enthusiasm is contagious. And to anyone who has the pleasure of knowing her, you'll know. And like all of you, she's added so much positivity in our lives. Secondly, my memories of growing up in the city of Toronto, seeing our first responders, was my way of looking up to my heroes, all of you. Whether it was touring the local fire station or having a community police officer come and visit our school. And come on, who doesn't remember Elmer the elephant, the safety elephant? The concept of Elmer was to teach each of us how to stay safe, use common sense, stay away from strangers, plus many more things. Well, I didn't forget him, and I never will. My childhood, like an elephant, doesn't allow me to forget the good that all of you and your predecessors have done to keep this province safe. Like an elephant, I won't forget. All of you first responders are exposed to life's tragedies every single day. And it's because of your unselfish sacrifices that allows the rest of us to live and sleep with peace of mind every night. I can't say it enough. Each one of you is my heroes, especially the guys out there in the back. Assisting Connie was my small contribution to ensuring this clinic and many more like it come to fruition. And through these centers, it will now be your time. It'll be your time to sleep and have a peace of mind. God bless each of you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk.
I want to thank everybody here for the very kind words. And every time you said, I listened to Connie, my poor husband Tom cringed and laughed and thought, I thought it was only me. You're not special, hon. I'm sorry. But I want to introduce you to the rendering over here. We think it's absolutely beautiful. It's going to add character to the community. Station 3434, as it will be known, will be our first responders center of excellence. And you're now standing on the site. Well, actually, we're on the parking lot, but over there will be the site where the treatments will be provided. So again, I want to thank you so very much for attending here today and supporting us, and thank all of you for supporting the cause, because together we will do it, and I'm convinced of that. Thank you. Is Tony Bavoda here? Is he gonna, where is he? All right, so is there going to be, you're ready to make media, you're cold? Well, we thought if we kept you cold, you'd be quick and nice. We're all a big happy family, so everybody play nice, everybody be nice. So we'll take some that's just me talking. I've got the switch to turn all the microphones off, I'm just telling you.
Okay, we're ready to take questions. If you have a question, just form a line behind the microphone. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up.
I thought you were going to stay up here, Connie, and take the questions. No, so good.
You're the only people who don't want
Excuse me. Hi, Premier. Matthew Bingley, Global News. My question is on the Ottawa protests. When you were issuing the provincial state of emergency, you warned that everything was on the table, that vehicles could be seized and forfeited. That mic is getting louder. Now we're hearing that those vehicles are being returned. And I'm wondering, do you feel that this response is that strong, it follows through on that strong threat that you first promised?
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the police agencies across the country that helped out there. They showed absolutely great leadership, and absolutely. And you know, that's the first time that's ever happened. But I can assure you that we'll make sure it doesn't happen again, no matter if it's in Ottawa or holding up our trade corridors on the bridge that cost us $700 million every single day. We live in Canada. We just can't tolerate people holding 1 million people hostage.
My follow-up is for a colleague.
Sure.
It has to deal with the deregulation of traditional Chinese medicine. I'm wondering first why your government has decided that this needs to be a priority, and also what concerns you have about any just opening this up to anyone to place a needle in perhaps someone's body in an Ontario body.
Before I pass it over to the Minister of Health, we inherited a broken system, and it really prevented anyone speaking Mandarin or Cantonese from really writing the exam in that. So we're trying to fix the problems that we inherited. I have a strong relationship with our Chinese community. I think the world of them, and we're out there just trying to fix the problem that, again, we heard from the community broadly right across Ontario. But I'll pass this over to our Minister of Health.
Been our government's first priority, and that remains the same. The Premier has spoken to some of the issues that were involved with some of the traditional Chinese medicine practitioners not being able to practice. But what we're proposing to do is to transition the regulation from the College of Traditional Chinese Medical Practitioners to the Health and Supportive Care Providers Authority of Ontario. And this is the same authority that regulates personal support workers as well. So we have confidence that they will do an effective job and that they will protect the interests of the people of Ontario. With respect to acupuncture, that is not going to be unregulated. That is going to continue to be monitored and regulated by the local public health agencies. Thank you.
This one? Oh, is the mic going to work for me? Yes, it seems like it is. Hi, Premier, and everyone else. Premier, my question is for yourself and perhaps the Solicitor General, if she cares to weigh in. Yesterday morning, QP Briefing reported that a member of the Ottawa Police Services Board, well, now no longer a member, Bobby Sueda, had attended the protests in Ottawa. Later on the evening, your office shared that all 3 provincial appointees to the Ottawa Police Services Board had resigned. What did the government learn between the morning and these members' decisions that led to those decisions?
Pass that to the Solicitor General.
Now, the illegal occupation in Ottawa was unprecedented in Ontario's history. It is why the City of Ottawa has chosen to take a new direction with their Police Services Board and their leadership. The Mayor has been working with us from the very beginning, and because the City of Ottawa has chosen to take a new direction with their Police Services Board, we accepted the resignation of the 3 provincial appointees. So we're working with the City of Ottawa. They're leading that new direction with an independent Police Services Board, and we will, in the coming days, have provincial appointees to make sure that the oversight that is so important for Police Services Boards continues. Thank you.
I suppose I'll ask again, what did the government learn between yesterday morning and the evening that led to these members' resignations? And in the spirit of having a follow-up, which local MPP recommended that Bobby Sueda be appointed to this board originally? And I would appreciate if you could weigh in, Premier.
Fair enough. There's approximately 3,500 appointments, and yes, do I have to sign off on it? I do, but do I dig into all 3,500? I don't. And I'll be able to get the answer on who recommended these. To tell you the truth, I didn't look into every single detail about that appointment, like I don't on the 3,500 appointments. But I can assure you we're going to replace that board with 3 solid members that will be able to represent the people of Ottawa and support our police services in Ottawa. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, Premier. A question about policing in the province that I think might be of interest to a lot of the people here. When the state of emergency was first enacted on February 11th, you said then, and you said multiple times, that you were going to turn those emergency orders into legislation. The state of emergency ended, I believe, last Wednesday. We haven't seen the legislation yet. Is your government still planning to turn it into legislation, and what are the complications in doing so?
Well, Colin, we're looking into that. We're analyzing everything that happened. Again, this is the first time that's ever happened in our country, and there's a lot to review, and we'll be sitting down with our Solicitor General and other folks that were involved to come up with a plan. We just don't do it overnight after we drop the state of emergency. We'll come up with a proper plan, but we're going to make sure that there's a real deterrent for anyone to do this again.
On another subject, the subject of masking. I think we ask you this every few days, and I think maybe we're getting closer to the answer. So you've said after March break, you've said sometime in March. Can you give us a date for when the masking policies will be finally lifted across Ontario?
Sure. There isn't a person out there that I talk to that says they like these masks. That's first of all. But I always followed the health and science. I've always listened to the chief medical officer, and I'm going to continue to listen to him. And hopefully a recommendation will come over the next week or so, or a couple of weeks, and we'll take him up on that recommendation. Hopefully as soon as possible.
Hi, Premier. Natalie Kalana from CBC. I'm offering this question on behalf of a colleague. Considering the average price in Toronto right now for detached homes is $2 million and supply isn't going to change anytime soon, what, if anything, can you do now to help with the price of housing?
Well, I'll tell you what we have done. We have the largest housing starts, over 100,000 of them in 30 years, plus the largest rental starts in 30 years as well. We have to cut the red tape and all the bureaucracy. We're working collaboratively with all the municipalities, and I thought we had a really good meeting. I know Mayor Tory was there as well. All of us want to make sure that there's affordable housing right across the province. At one time, it used to be just Toronto and the GTA. It's not. It doesn't matter if you go up north now. But we have a great housing plan. We had a great meeting with the mayors and the chairs across the region, and we're going to make sure that when applications go in, that they get approved as quickly as possible. They're going to make sure they, cross their T's, dot their I's. That's what we need to do. And there's a lot of tools that the province can always help the municipalities out as well, and we'll give them every tool possible to make us a lot quicker when it comes to getting housing starts.
And if I may, just a second question for the Solicitor General regarding the Ottawa Police Board. I must have missed it. What was it that the government learned that led to those resignations?
As I said previously, it was that the City of Ottawa had taken a new direction, a new leadership with their Police Services Board, and we worked together with the City of Ottawa. We have accepted the 3 provincial appointees' resignation letters, and in the coming days, we will appoint 3 new provincial appointees. I think it's really important for people to understand the process of what goes into becoming a member of a Police Services Board in the province of Ontario. It is a very rigorous process of individuals applying, of interview process, of police record checks, and then the interest and ability for them to perform their duties. The oversight duties of the police services boards is critically important. And the fact that the Ottawa City and Mayor have taken a new direction, we're following their lead. And as I said, we will have 3 provincial appointees very well represented in Ottawa.
This will be our final reporter.
Hi, Mr. Premier. This question comes in from Cynthia, and Cynthia's asking, we saw what Premier Kenney did in Alberta with the masking. He took away the powers from the actual municipalities to enforce or to create masking regulations. Are you going to do the same in Ontario, or will each individual municipality be able to regulate masks?
Well, I've always been a strong believer in working with municipalities. You know, Mayor Tory's shown great leadership. We've worked together, not just with Mayor Tory, but other mayors. And it's all about working together and getting through this. And that's the reason I think Ontario as a whole, you know, we did pretty well, Jamie. And it's not about one person making a decision. It's about everyone making a decision, no matter if it's our frontline emergency service folks or working with the mayor and them working with the council, us working together through health, and the chief medical officer. You know, the chief medical officer, Dr. Moore, has done an incredible job, and so did Dr. Williams prior to that. It's a real challenge. They're up all night working hard. And I've always said I'm not a medical expert. I've always referred to the chief medical officer.
This next question is coming in from Allison Jones. It's about the new regulations about the medicines that are now no longer regulated. And hang on, I'm just pulling up her email right now, please. Why the departure from regulation of the traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture? There's a lot of practitioners out there who are using it that are shocked as a result of this, and they say they weren't consulted.
Well, I have the utmost respect for the Chinese community, and you know, we consulted with many people within that sector. And before I pass it to the Minister of Health again, I want to tell you the reason we did it. There was a tremendous amount of people that were prevented from being a practitioner because they had a language barrier. If they spoke Cantonese or Mandarin, they were out of luck, and I don't think that's fair. We're going to correct that problem. We're going to continue to consult with the Chinese community and people that practice traditional Chinese medicine, because it's important to that community. So we aren't going to change anything until we even further consult and listen to some of their concerns. Obviously, there's some concerns, and we'll make sure we correct it.
One. Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I think we've said what we were going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank our first responders again. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.